Oh, Tony, you're here too, I guess. So, there you are. Yeah. Go ahead and, if you want to get started.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee. My name is Tony Sardella, and I serve as the president and CEO of the API Innovation Center, where API stands for Active Pharmaceutical Ingredient, which is the active element of medicine and makes it effective. By training, I'm a data scientist and a toxicologist. I spent most of my early years with Monsanto Company, commercializing new businesses and technologies. But I've also been an entrepreneur, started Missouri-based companies, grown them, and also sold those businesses here locally. I also serve as an adjunct professor at Washington University, and I'm also their distinguished fellow for health innovation. I'm honored to be here this morning to share information about the work that the API Innovation Center is doing to help a major and significant national problem, and how Missouri is poised to be a leader in addressing the problem of health security in our nation. Health security refers to the ability for every pharmacy, hospital, and citizen to have access to medicine that is produced by U.S. manufacturers. But also to not only have health security from a patient perspective, but also for our nation, to have health security of supply of our medicines, leaving us less vulnerable to geopolitical risks from our adversaries. There's three key things that I want to share with you today. The first is our nation's drug supply chain is highly vulnerable and at risk to us being overly dependent on foreign manufacturers, including China, who produces a significant amount of our U.S. medicine. Second, Missouri is well positioned to lead the nation and address this issue, given that we are the #1 API producer by state in the country. And then thirdly, the API Innovation Center, together with the state of Missouri, to date have catalyzed Missouri manufacturing of medicines and achieved growth economically. COVID exposed, as many of you may remember, numerous problems around getting supplies of medicines and medical devices in response to the pandemic. It was incredibly alarming when it came to the critical medicines that we couldn't get and source for our patients across the nation. It exposed a fragility of our drug supply chain, and quite puzzling how a country such as the United States could be in such a position of vulnerability. I took a much deeper look into the data as my role as a professor and go just beyond the understanding of the problem, but attempting to find what caused it and develop an approach to solve it. There's three things that I found in the research that's been published. First, for 83% of the top 100 medicines taken by U.S. citizens, these are cardiovascular drugs, thyroid medicines, we as a nation, the United States, have no source for the active pharmaceutical ingredient that makes that medicine effective. The critical components, we are completely reliant on foreign manufacturers. And to keep in perspective, 91% of all medicines that are taken by U.S. citizens are generics, not branded. We have two very different systems: branded drugs, generic drugs. Generics are the workhorse of our healthcare system, usually low cost. And we're heavily reliant on manufacturers outside the United States, leaving our supply chain and our country vulnerable. Moreover, 1 in 4 prescriptions from manufacturing sites had an FDA warning letter adhered to the manufacturing facility, indicating it did not comply with FDA standards. Many ask, why is sourcing from other countries a problem? Well, we realize that this is not a theoretical risk, but during COVID, India banned all export of COVID-related medicines to any other country because they needed it for their own citizens. And currently, Beijing has been in ongoing discussions around cutting off U.S. drug supply chain in response to geopolitical issues such as Taiwan, as well as trade issues. Third thing we found is, surprisingly, the United States has significant manufacturing capacity, including here in Missouri, to produce the drugs and APIs, the active ingredients. However, what we found is a significant amount of this capacity is sitting idle and underutilized. Over 50% of the facilities are idle. Just to give you a rough order of magnitude, that's over 30 billion doses a year that U.S. citizens could be getting supply of from a U.S.-based manufacturer. But what it also tells you is how to allocate the capital to fix this problem and where you make the investment. We need to activate that underutilized capacity. Ultimately, the analysis showed the root cause of the drug supply chain fragility is not logistics, it's economics. This is an economic problem. An overcomplicated and complex medicine supply and delivery system in the U.S. squeezes U.S.-based manufacturer margins to razor-thin levels. It leaves them vulnerable to predatory foreign manufacturer practices relative to pricing, as well as foreign manufacturers who are subsidized by their government so that they can take over the United States industry of pharmaceuticals for their own economic growth and benefit in their countries for manufacturing. The findings were something that had never been previously identified. The research has been cited by the National Academy of Sciences in their report to the President on causes of shortages. Surprisingly to us, the leading organizations that downloaded the research that we had conducted was not just the Department of Health and Human Services, it's actually the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, as well as the Department of Defense, highlighting the importance of having our own industrial manufacturing base for medicine as a national security issue. As such, the API Innovation Center in Missouri has become a recognized leader in the nation for reshoring manufacturing to stabilize our nation's drug supply chain, which hit a record of 323 drugs in shortage in March of 2024. When the White House released a strategy white paper announcing they wanted to reshore 25% of API production, they cited our findings and our innovative Missouri private-public operating model, and we received significant both public and commercial attention as a leader in the nation. Focusing on the core economic issues has allowed the API Innovation Center to gain traction much faster in reshoring medicines to the United States. Our operating model gets to the heart of the issue. It's called the ICP model. We invest in advanced manufacturing technologies that drives the cost down to produce medicines in the United States and allows our U.S. manufacturers to be competitive with foreign producers. We contract after the discovery of that research and novel technology with existing API manufacturers to produce it here in the United States. And we partner with finished drug production companies in something very unique with end customers to purchase the medicine, providing a full, transparent supply chain for U.S.-based manufacturers to produce. The model has allowed us to leverage the strengths of all of the different players across the healthcare system, while also allowing them to collaborate with us, share data, and identify even more efficient methods to producing it. Now, while I've focused on the benefits to the nation's security, I want to focus on, first, why Missouri, and two, the impact that it's had already in the last 18 months on Missouri's manufacturing sector for pharmaceuticals. As mentioned, you might ask why a Missouri-based nonprofit organization and Missouri-based drug manufacturers to lead the nation in drug supply chain. What we found was a profound discovery. That was despite most of API manufacturing being done outside the United States, we as a state had the largest concentration and positioned us here as the #1 state in the country for production of these API ingredients. It gives us a competitive advantage by state across the nation over anywhere else in the country as reshoring critical medicine grows as a priority for our country. Chemical and pharmaceutical manufacturing is a key industry in the state already, which means this investment that the state has made in the API Innovation Center has less risk and has greater potential for a bigger impact. Also, because there is a concentration of chemical and pharmaceutical manufacturing within the state, both growing and protecting from any losses in this industry where we hold a competitive advantage over other states is of importance to our economy. The pharmaceutical medicine subsector of chemical manufacturing has the largest number of jobs in that sector, with over 7,200 jobs in our state, 220 establishments in Missouri, and we rank as the highest potential for growth in this sector for the state, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. On top of that, it's also the second highest annual wages sector within the chemical manufacturing. We as the API Innovation Center are investing and working with both small and large manufacturers in the sector to keep their workforces here, expand them, and increase taxable wages and sales revenue for the state. So far, we've been very fortunate to find a number of partners who've been passionate about working with us to fix this problem and transform the supply chain. Perhaps the best partner, though, has proven to be the state of Missouri. And through the Missouri Technology Corporation and later the Department of Economic Development, with our research partners at the University of Missouri, St. Louis, that have provided catalyst for our efforts. The support they provided, that you have provided, all made possible and has absolutely had an impact on the economy and our efforts. And I wanted to highlight, had it not been for the thoughtful and leading investment and support of the center by the state of Missouri, Missouri manufacturers would not have had a series of great growth opportunities over the last year and a half. Without your support, the state of Missouri would not have had Missouri manufacturers produce 3 active pharmaceutical ingredients under the Federal Defense Production Act for the United States National API Stockpile, bringing $14.5 million into our state for these manufacturers. And those funds have been distributed to companies like Mallinckrodt as well as Millipore Sigma, major employers in our state. We would not have had Missouri manufacturers such as Sentio Biosciences, a small business, produce 3 important medicine locally for one of the state's largest healthcare system, allowing our own state healthcare system to source their medicines from Missouri-based manufacturers. We would not have had another Missouri small business manufacturer, our Apertis Pharmaceuticals, develop manufacturing of a generic brain cancer drug for glioblastoma, and then them invest in an expansion to a new 30,000 square foot facility, which includes cancer API drug manufacturing for the nation. We would not have had Missouri attract a New Jersey-based firm to purchase an empty downtown St. Louis building and open a new $150 million, 226,000 square foot sterile fill and finish manufacturing site to produce the injectables, which are provided through needles in hospitals, are in constant shortage of supply. And we would not have had the opportunity to support regional coordinated efforts to attract investment by a leading pharmaceutical company, Eli Lilly, as they look to invest over $20 billion in U.S.-based manufacturing across the states in the United States. Now, moreover, the support has positioned us to have conversations and discussions to drive R&D investment in the state of Missouri with leading manufacturers of equipment such as Corning, the global leader in advanced manufacturing for making medicines. Discussions with non-Chinese foreign manufacturers to consider state investments in light of foreign tariffs, making those investments in Missouri. And for us to allow for Missouri-based drug inventors, those that are innovators in creating novel new drugs, to produce the small volumes of those drugs here in Missouri, whereas now they have to go offshore to get those small amounts, losing IP as well as losing jobs for us. And lastly, for Missouri manufacturers to produce supply for a leading U.S. national retail pharmacy to supply medicines for the entire nation. Currently, as the API Innovation Center, 6 medicines are in process by these manufacturers. It's contributing $351 million direct and indirect economic impact to the state. With your support, our vision is to bring manufacturing of 25 medicines to Missouri in the next 5 years and 300 within the next 10. That equates to $1.2 billion and $17.2 billion in economic impact to the state, respectively. Making our nation's medicine is a significant economic stimulus package for Missouri with a great positive return and an industrial base that can supply. All of this has taken place in less than 3 years. We are unbelievably excited about the future and the potential impact we can make together and to improve and lead efforts for our nation to drive health security and drive economic growth for our state, who's well positioned to serve this problem and this issue. And the benefit to the state It could have never happened, this benefit, without the state's support. So with that, I'd like to thank Mr. Chairman and the panel and answer any questions you may have now or later.
Thank you, Tony, for your testimony, and I'll remind the witnesses to fill out a
Yes, we have
form
that
so your testimony can be made into public record. And another reminder for the audience: this is just a special committee for informational purposes only, and we appreciate you all coming up here to do this. Next, we have up the Chancellor from S&T, Mo. Whenever you're ready.
Great. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, the panel. I am Mo Dehghani, Mohammed Dehghani. The name has Anglo-Saxonized along the way at some point. And I am the Chancellor at Missouri S&T. Prior to Missouri S&T, I was a professor of mechanical engineering and the director of engineering at Applied Physics Laboratory of Johns Hopkins University. And prior to that, I was a professor of mechanical engineering at the University of California and a division leader for new technologies at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. I am delighted to be here representing the Missouri S&T, where 3 years ago we celebrated our Cisco centennial anniversary, and for 153 years, our wonderful university has been a crown jewel of American engineering and science education, has created innovators and inventors in many fields of technology. So with that, I'd like to highlight the importance of our function today, particularly in the areas of manufacturing and critical minerals. On January 14, the Economic Development Administration announced a $28.5 million in grant funding to strengthen the critical minerals processing industry in the state of Missouri. But that requires a little bit of explanation. A year and a half ago, we submitted a proposal to the Department of Commerce for the phase one of the so-called Tech Hub initiatives. And we were one of the 400 submissions. The final selection for that phase was 30 institutions. We were one of them. We received $500,000 to develop our phase two proposal for the critical minerals initiative. And we did that, and ultimately we received the phase two initiative, but only for the part to develop the testbed facilities where you go from the ore all the way to application-ready materials in the critical minerals. Another important note is the fact that 50 critical minerals have been identified nationally and worldwide. 29 of them exist in the state of Missouri. I think that's a remarkable recognition that in this area of increasing importance, where China is taking over, frankly, not only for their own terrestrial lands, but also some of the African nations that they have influence on, and not only terrestrial, but also maritime searches for critical minerals. Having had 29 of the critical minerals in the state of Missouri, many of them already on the ground because the mining companies have dug the earth, brought the material up, took what they wanted. They weren't looking for critical minerals. They were looking for lead and iron, and they took those out and have left the rest of the material. So Doe Run, for example, has 156 years of tailings and a slush that is ready to be searched for the critical minerals. So our initiatives of $28.5 million that we just received is going to provide for facility to go from everything that I just said is on the ground or in the mine to the application-ready material. Now, you have to keep in mind that there are not very many institutions, in fact, probably two. Us and Colorado School of Mines are the two universities that have the bandwidth of disciplines that are necessary in order to extract critical minerals. We have geological sciences, we have geological engineering, we have extraction metallurgy, we have mining engineering, we have explosives engineering, we have chemistry, chemical engineering. So we have everything that it takes to be a part of the solution of this national critical issue that is increasing in importance by day. Okay, so that I just wanted to highlight the magnitude of the problem and highlight the fact that your university can easily be a part of the solution to address the national problem. In fact, with me is Dr. Michael Motes, who has deep domain knowledge on the material, and he will tell you critical minerals are critical. If you don't have germanium, you don't have fiber optics. It's that simple. If you don't have germanium, you don't have high electronics. If you don't have gallium, you don't have touch screen. If you don't have palladium, you don't have night vision goggles for the warfighter. So this is not an abstract concept. Critical minerals are critical, and we need to be the solution for not only the United States, but frankly, for the free world. Just a few months ago, China banned the export of all germanium and gallium. Am I right, Mike? Just they banned the export of these materials. And then with the environment that we are in now, I won't be surprised if you wake up tomorrow morning and a whole host of other critical minerals, the export of them are banned, again, not only to the United States, but to the entire free world. So with that, I wanted to highlight the impact of what we are doing, not only in manufacturing, which is a story by itself, and I invite all of you to come to campus and see our major programs for manufacturing that is ongoing on campus. Thanks to this body that supported us in building our manufacturing protoplex in Rolla, which is a place to see and is the envy of many, many universities in the Midwest, at least. But the initiative on critical minerals is going to support 14 counties, not only Phelps County, where we are located in, but a consortium of 14 counties that have been instrumental in us winning the phase 2 of the Tech Hub. The impact is going
Mo,
to
can I
be-
interrupt you just for 1 second, please? I'm sorry. We've got some other members need to go to other committees, and while we have a quorum, I'm going to go ahead and have the committee called to order. Ashley, call the roll.
Chairman Brown,
Here.
Senator Berger, Senator Brown, Senator Huff, Senator Lewis, Senator McCreary, and Senator Schwarr.
We have a quorum. Go ahead, Mo.
Okay, thank you. So the 4 counties, which are really the poorest counties in the state of Missouri, if not the entire Midwest, the economic impact through an independent economic study will be $34 billion in economic activities within the next 10 years from the start of our Tech Hub 2 initiative. There will be 4,000 direct jobs for the 14 counties, and there will be 23,000 jobs broader than direct results of the initiative. What we need, of course, we are a university. We have discoveries. We have figured out methodologies, approaches to extracting efficiently the critical minerals that are needed. But what we need is partnership with industry. We have, in order to receive our phase 2 Tech Hub initiative, we have established a remarkable collaboration, not only with the government agencies, the counties, and the other universities, but also with industry. What we need is incentivized industry partnership to work with us, because we understand application incentivized research, we understand solution inspired research, but we need the companies who have domain knowledge in their areas to come and work with us, and incentivizing them through your approaches will be the best thing that we can have, to have them here, because after our university bench top research activities, we need them to pick it up and go from the results that we give them to, in fact, production level activities. So with that, I just want to thank this body. I want to thank Senator Brown. The effort that provided $14 million, $15 million 2.5 years ago resulted in collaboration with industry between us and them, and that resulted into this massive proposal that the National Department of Commerce decided that Missouri is a part of the solution, and they provided us with the first phase, $500,000, and the second phase, $28.5 million. Had it not been for the generous support of this body, we would not have been able to secure the national grant that we received. We are very much optimistic that we will be a part of the solution, and for that, we need your continual support in whatever way you can, particularly in incentivizing the industry to collaborate with academia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mo, and we appreciate what you do and appreciate what you do at S&T, or otherwise known as the best university in the country. Next up, we will have, are there any questions for Chancellor? Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you for being here. When you talk about incentivizing business to be partners, would profits not incentivize them with all these minerals?
Absolutely. I think that's the prime driver for them to participate with us. But knowing that we can be the solution to a lot of their problems is in our faculty's drawer, frankly. For them to look at us as a destination of choice, to come and work with our faculty, with our PhD students, with our researchers, to get the answer to their questions, rather than, incentives will say, oh, there is an incentive to work with universities, so we will work with them. Of course, the main driver is their profits. But this will activate. Getting industry to work with universities has a high activation energy. If we can do anything to lower that activation energy, and incentives will do that.
Okay. I was on the campus Sunday.
Oh,
My grandson goes to school there.
oh, very good.
Yeah, so we walked around and toured around. He plays baseball there, so we had a good tour of the campus.
Did you see the new facilities?
My
everything?
wife and daughter did the next day, but I was up here, so they got to walk in and see the facilities.
Well, we
They
would
were very
love to
impressed,
host you
very
again.
impressed.
And
I'll be back. I'll
Yes,
be back.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bo. Next up, we'll have Kevin Edwards with Brewer Science.
Good morning, Chairman and committee members. So today I'm here to talk about Brewer Science and Brewer Science's story and how it fits into some of the emerging issues. But a little bit about myself first. I was born in Rolla, Missouri. We live there now, raised my family there. I've been in the semiconductor industry for 28 years. I have a bachelor's degree in nuclear engineering from S&T and a master's degree in electrical engineering from Washington University, St. Louis. So I'm a big fan of S&T and a big fan of Central Missouri, and I'm a retired Navy captain. I've been at Brewer Science for 22 years, and to see what's happened in central Missouri and what's happening now. It's a very, very exciting time. I know that the Chancellor was focused on critical minerals today, but I'm going to take some of my time to plug S&T to say that we're starting at S&T. I say we, but they are starting a semiconductor engineering degree program. Extremely exciting. And on Monday, we're hosting in Rolla, Semi Midwest, which is an organization focused on furthering the semiconductor industry, and it's happening in Rolla. There's a lot happening in Rolla right now and in central Missouri, and we're building our footprint within the semiconductor industry at a time when it's never been more of a national security issue. So, I digress a little bit. I want to talk about Brewer Science and our history, because I think we're a company that it's very exciting to have a company like Brewer Science in the state of Missouri, and hope that when I'm done you'll understand a little bit better kind of how we fit in to the semiconductor industry and into the economy of the state. So Dr. Terry Brewer came to Rolla, Missouri in 1981 and founded Brewer Science based on his invention of the anti-reflective coating that enables the fabrication of microchip circuits with smaller features than would be otherwise possible. Now, that sounds kind of boring, but what it means is that smaller transistors and wires result in a faster, cheaper, more energy-efficient microchip. Brewer Science Materials accelerated the industry's drive to higher transistor densities and more powerful computers. You may have heard of Moore's Law. The Moore's Law journey that's seen the microchip density double every 18 months for 5 decades. And if you do the math on that, if you've ever done the math on what it takes when you double something repeatedly, it's amazing. So when Brewer Science began in 1981, the typical microchip had a few thousand transistors. Today's advanced microchips contain over 100 billion transistors. And that is the technology that's enabling AI and advancements in every area of our lives today. And Brewer Science has been a central role in that since 1981 in creating those advances. So our key role in developing and manufacturing generation after generation of materials and processes that allow our customers, who are the chip makers, to keep pace with this exponential, literally exponential progress. We've expanded our technology portfolio recently to include solutions for advanced chip packaging, or smart devices and sensor technology, and printed electronics. Although the transistor itself and the integrated circuit were invented in the United States, as chip technology has progressed, the industry has itself globalized and consolidated mostly to Asia. When Brewer Science was founded, the United States accounted for roughly 60% of global microchip manufacturing. Now that number is 10%. Yet today, our nation's financial systems, communications media, entertainment channels, and military capability are built upon advanced microchips. Having a robust semiconductor manufacturing base is not just about jobs, it is truly a matter of national security. The globalization of the semiconductor industry has required Brewer Science to secure laboratory space and establish sales and support functions throughout the U.S., Asia, and Europe. We're truly a global company headquartered in Rolla, Missouri. But to this day, our headquarters and our growing manufacturing operations remain in the Rolla area. Between Rolla and Vichy, all of our manufacturing happens in Missouri, and we just ship all over the world. Brewer Science has always been privately owned. We've resisted pressure to relinquish independence as the semiconductor industry has consolidated. We became certified employee-owned in 2020 through an employee stock ownership plan, ESOP, when the Brewer family gave our employees a 33% ownership stake, further ensuring that Brewer Science remains a Missouri-based, U.S.-based semiconductor industry leader. Meanwhile, most of the supply chain around us, including our suppliers, our competitors, and even our customers, have moved offshore. The Missouri legislature has a role in addressing the erosion of the nation's semiconductor supply chain in ways that enhance national security and improve Missouri's economy. From the perspective of Brewer Science, any action that improves access to capital or funds further research and development or allows us to expand our manufacturing capability helps us keep pace with the market demand and the advancing technology so that we can continue to contribute to the security of our nation's semiconductor supply chain while employing Missourians. This includes tax credits, and it includes actions that help Missouri support participation in federal initiatives. One such example of that is the Federal CHIPS Act, which was enacted in 2022, and it's been in the news recently, to fund projects that produce, and this definition is from their website, produce secure, reliable supply of semiconductors, especially for the defense industrial base and critical infrastructure sectors. For a company to participate, their project must occur in a state which has a state-sponsored program in place to share that commitment. Brewer Science appreciates the quick action of the Missouri legislature to pass House Bill 7 in 2023 and the Missouri Department of Economic Development's Federal Initiatives Team for expeditiously administering that program in time to support our federal application. And 3 companies from Missouri were able to apply because of the action of the Missouri legislature. This decisive action allowed us to participate in the application process that we're going through now. Another example of Missouri's is Missouri's funding of the NextFlex Missouri node, one of 3 such nodes in the U.S., focused on hybrid electronics development and commercialization. There are many other past and current examples. We're excited about what the future holds. International market share forecasts are already predicting that the tide is turning, and the U.S. share of manufacturing for critical semiconductor technologies is rising for the first time in decades. You see it in the news now. There's investment happening. Some of it is spurred by chips. Some of it has been market forces, but it's exciting to see the tide turning. We look forward to collaborating with the state of Missouri and our universities and fellow technology companies to ensure that Missouri fully participates in this exciting growth. If you come down to Rolla right now, we hope you do. You'll see as you drive past Vichy at the airport there. We have a plant there. You'll see bulldozers and cranes. We're expanding as fast as we can there. And then the High Point Industrial Park, which is just north of the Love's truck stop. Where our site is, we're expanding there as well. Basically, as I say, as fast as we can. So we appreciate the work of this committee to explore opportunities that address statewide and nationwide economic and national security issues, and we honestly welcome you to visit our facilities in Rolla, Vichy, and Springfield.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate you all being here today. We're going to try our best to move this legislation forward to make Missouri the leader in all these critical materials, mining and manufacturing. Do you have any questions, Senator?
I just have one question. How many employees do you have?
We have over 400. That's our what I'm allowed to say. We keep a lot of our data very close to the vest. Being a private company and the kind of industry we're in, it's very aggressive industry, predatory industry, if you will. So we don't give exact numbers, but I can tell you it's well over 400.
Thank you.
Again, thank you all for being here today. It's a very impressive testimony. And with that, there's no further business coming before the committee. I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? I have a second. We're adjourned.